Hi guys, I'm going to make up a poll real quick. Excuse me. Hey Baragon, oh, please not let it be one of those lives. I really need it to be like a good live. I'm not happy with myself. Hey Nature Fan. I'm trying really quick to come up with a... I didn't get as much done on the last dino, or the last pterosaur. Okay, so for this poll that I'm posting, I am not saying that this is what we're doing for our next long go, but it could be. The last one, the ramp. Yeah, that last one. I am only going to do 2 of these because that is cold. Well, actually, I don't know how cold that is. Oh, gosh, darn it. Sorry, guys. I stress way more than I should. I should have waited to eat till afterwards, but I was hungry. I don't know where Carrie is at. Yeah, well, that's what has me all upset, because that's what cut into preparations for today. I found the neatest little website for prehistoric animals. And so after I have done what I have on the last guy, I'm going to switch and do what I do best. Well, we'll give her a few minutes and then, well, I can't give her any more time. So, thank you everybody that came in for the last live. Thank you. Again, this one is going to be interesting because I have never covered, to the best of my knowledge, a pterosaur in the history of my channel. I could be wrong, though. I could be very wrong. On the other end of the spectrum, I've never covered these two. So, there's that. As always, we're going to do a little bridge activity at the end of today's live. Maybe we're going to do one. And we'll also talk about some of the stuff that we talked about earlier. If you want to know my TikTok or Instagram accounts, hang out till the end. Let's see. Am I forgetting anything that I need to mention? I think we're good. We're good. Okay. Dimorphodon. Now, even though Dimorphodon lived with the dinosaurs, it is not a dinosaur. Not a dinosaur. So what is it then? You guys probably already know this, but that's okay. It is a flying reptile, a pterosaur. It was discovered in 1859 in England, in the 19th century, of course, near the town of Dorset. I hope I pronounced that right. Dorset. Anyway, it is one of the earliest pterosaur to be found. Dimorphodon was 1 meter in length, or 3 feet in length. They would have stood around 1.2 feet when on the ground. Their wingspan was around 1.5 meters to 4.9 meters or 5 feet. And they would have weighed around 1 kilogram or 2.2 pounds. Now, Dimorphodon may have been a tree climber. I wasn't there, so obviously I can't say. They would have had bat-like wings with a membrane that made up the wing. And like birds, they had hollow bones. They may have only been capable of short flights. And they lived in the early Jurassic. If I get anything wrong, just give me a kick. They lived in the early Jurassic and may have spent a large part of their time on the ground, actually. They would have walked using their wings as forelegs. Hi, Jasmine Adam. Hello, how are you? Where are you from? Their mouths were loaded with barbed teeth. We thought that they were fish eaters. But oh, Adam from Dallas. Just know that there's misinformation, that it comes from the source, not directly from me. So we thought at one time that they were strictly fish eaters. We know that is not true. I'm doing pretty good. I cannot complain. We now know that they probably were eating small vertebrates, things smaller than them, as well as insects. And it's also possible that they scavenged off of dead animals. Maybe they scavenged off other animals' kills. We are talking about two pterosaurs, Dimorphodon and I wish I could pronounce it, but I would probably only end up smearing the name, so forgive my mini burps. I am sorry. I just got done eating and had to rush. I'm going to post it, Adam, here in just a second. Let's see. We don't have a really clear picture of an extinction date for these guys. And also it should be noted that in one of my sources, they said that Jurassic World, the movie, made them larger and more aggressive than they would have been in real life. Yeah, I think it's Rhamphorynus. Rhinus. Anyway, that's horrible when you're a science person and you can't pronounce things. It's horrible. The most. Oh wait, before that, their closest their closest living relatives, believe it or not, are birds and maybe also, oddly enough, crocodiles. Yeah. Yeah. I thought I saw somewhere that compared their size to a toucan. I don't know how true that is. The most accurate portrayal of this animal was in the series Walking with Dinosaurs that was put out by the BBC in 1999. Now, I don't have a really clever bridge to go between the two of these. But I thought I would give you guys tomorrow's lives and go from there. So tomorrow's live, Adam, I go live Tuesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time and again at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. So they are, tomorrow we're doing blue-throated macaws and Brazilian merganser, and then platypus and quokka. Central Standard Time. Awesome. So that is not a problem. Right. And I should have been more clear on that one. This is what happens when you get somebody who is a naturalist doing things that are no longer alive. You get boo-boos every once in a while. And yes, it happens. Okay. Now for the fun one. I'm going to be filling in blanks on this one because I'm going to have to bounce to websites to smooth things over. Not a scientist per se, but my background is in the sciences. So I went to college for a biology degree. I have everything I need for it except for 2 classes, organic chemistry 2 and a math course. But I do have the classes under my belt, and I'm pretty knowledgeable even without what I got in the classes. I consider myself a naturalist, if that makes sense. I'm a whole lot closer. Yeah, I'm pretty close. I consider myself to be a naturalist, better with some things than others. I do really, really awesome with like ethnobotany, if you know what that is. Ethnobotany is one of my fun little things. Also, if you can't tell, that tank behind me, Used to be home to a tarantula. So I love spiders. I love arthropods. I love anything that, you think is icky. I love it. So, yeah. That's okay, just me, Adam. Adam, thanks for coming in. Hey, Bob3I73, welcome to live. So this new one would have measured 1.26 meters long or 4.1 feet long. It would have stood at 0.6 meters or 1.9 feet. I could not find a clear defined wingspan. And yet we have fossils of these guys showing the wings. So I don't know. And they would have weighed 0.8 kilograms to 1.7 pounds. And they were discovered in Europe. More precisely, they were discovered in limestone from Bavaria, which is in Germany, in 1825. However, they may have lived in England, Portugal, Spain, and Tanzania. Tanzania keeps bouncing up today. I don't know what the deal is. Some of these fossils came complete, meaning this flying reptile that we're talking about, some of their fossils came complete with wings and tails. Now, this pterosaur is such that you could actually tell the young from the adults by looking at the vein, not vein, but like a weather vein that was on the tail. And the young ones, it would have been more oval shaped, and in the adults, it would have been diamond shaped. Okay, this is where things get wonky. Oh, and this guy may have been able to swim as well as fly, and it may have been nocturnal on top of it. So kind of a bizarre little critter. Oh, the wingspan. I do have a wingspan. They had a wingspan of around 1.81 meters or 5.9 feet. Now, they did say that some may have been bigger than that, achieving wingspans of 3 meters or 9.8 feet. This was what's called one of the largest long-tailed pterosaurs, and perhaps one of the largest pterosaurs in the Jurassic. So I'm thinking they got bigger as time went on. Now, this says that it was typical of pterosaurs to be warm-blooded, which is kind of crazy to me because I thought they were all cold-blooded, being reptiles, but apparently that is not the case. They may have also been covered in a coat of something that resembled fur called pycnofibers. This was a sort of a reptilianish type fur. They had a reptilian growth rate around that, a little bit higher than an alligator, which also suggests, though, that they might have been cold-blooded. So, yeah. Take that what you will. Now, when they were on the Earth, you're okay, Adam. You can don't feel bad. Oh, you're already gone. Okay. So these guys pretty interesting. They occupied an area that Europe was sort of underwater, and they lived on islands. It would have shared its habitat with Archaeopteryx and Compsognathus, which were predators and probably fed on this guy. Am I still good? They probably, even though I said they swim, they probably didn't swim very deep. Going into the water meant that they were putting themselves at risk, because there were, of course, other animals that would have preyed on them, including Dacosaurus, which was a marine crocodile morph. So I'm thinking a marine reptile that looked like a crocodile. How am I doing? Am I doing okay? Getting my stuff right? By being nocturnal, it sort of helped reduce competition amongst the other pterosaurs. Awesome. These guys probably disappeared around 148.5 million years ago. So they vanished pretty quickly. And they were featured in the 3rd episode of the BBC documentary Walking with Dinosaurs. I didn't even know they were in it. Again, their relatives are going to be birds and loosely crocodiles, which still seems, well, school should be done. I don't know what's going on with Carrie. Well, there's a good chance that they could be sleeping. Did I lose? I feel like I lost somebody. I don't know. Yeah, someone comment. Someone say hi. Hold on. I use everything is good. I use Gemini AI for things, and it thinks that everything that I do is for the spooky channel. It has issues. What is good with you, and where are you from? What animals would have been predators for Dimorphodon? That is a really good question. I really don't like some of these dinosaur names. It says Pteranodon may have taken them. This guy would have taken them. Okay, so here are 3 things about today's topic. 1 is going to be a lie, and 2 are going to be true. Dimorphodon had a head so big it likely lived in trees because it was too clumsy to take off from the ground. True or false? And I know I didn't cover that, but think about it. That one is true. Rhamphorynus had teeth that pointed outward like a needle trap to catch slippery fish. True or false? It is true. I'm thinking Jurassic bailed on me. That one is true. Rhamphorynus had a bioluminescent tail tip to lure prey in the dark. It is false. It is so false. I agree. So let me remind everybody, tomorrow we have blue-throated macaw and Brazilian merganser at 1 p.m., platypus and quokka at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Tuesday, we are doing game day. What am I? We're going to make it even more interesting because I'm going to take pictures of the figures behind me, get some really close tidbits on them, and then you guys have to guess which one they are. And then 6 p.m. we're going to do we're going to look at what plants might have been in a herb garden 1600s maybe here in the North American colonies, and figure out which now plants have been jumped from invasive status to have jumped the garden wall. Friday, we're going to discuss animals in Hollywood, probably sticking to old-timey Hollywood up through. And then Friday night, we're going to do an herbal tea chat. Saturday, we're going to be talking about next Saturday. We're going to do exploring nature, walking palm, cannonball tree, black zapote, and Mexican plums. I do have an Instagram, and you can check me out at NatureGuyX12 on Instagram and TikTok at NatureGuy76 for those people that are brave and do TikTok. And I think that's everything. I think that's everything I have. So we can either keep talking or we can go. That's up to you, nature fan. And I was playing more of Ark Survival Evolved, and I really, really dislike one of the animals in that game. It's a prehistoric. On a slow day, 50. It's way more. It depends. Because sometimes I've gone in and I've had 5. On a good day, I could have 200. Well, you've been in there with me, right? On TikTok? It just gets really, really crazy on TikTok. I don't necessarily care for it. But somebody said, yeah, it's... I'm hoping that things will quiet down. I also found out today or this week that I can take my videos that I do for YouTube and turn them into segments for Instagram. So I have to figure that out. But yeah. I went down to my brother's house today. I think I told you guys that. Yeah, I don't know. I went down to my brother's house today, and they made me feel bad. They go to me, um, my brother looks at me and goes, "Have you been feeding the dogs when you come down to let them out?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't been." And he goes, "I mean, it's not like they'd never get fed. Believe me, his dogs are very well fed. Like very, very well fed. They're not hurting. So I will be fixing that issue. But going down there is 15 minutes out of my day that is already busy. Yeah, I think we're gonna call it Nature Fan. I don't know what's going on. Well, I think we're safe, dude. I'm sorry for calling you dude. I'm looking at it and it's only showing one person. Today's poll, we have 80% for Quetzalcoatlus, Codalus, and then Pterodon got 20%. So if I do this again, it'll be Quetzalcoatlus, and then Pterodon, and then something else, something else. But thanks for coming in. I'm gonna get some work done. Talk to you later, dude. Goodbye. Peace out.